They say your enemy's enemy is your friend. Is that the foundation of the new defense bridge between India and America? Or are we seeing the emergence of a new strategic cooperation with wider implications? As I speak, India and America are coming closer to counter a military challenge from China with shared defense technology. And some very interesting meetings are underway in Washington. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is there. So are the other senior officials. They are fleshing out ways in which the two countries can share technology at the highest levels, share expertise on jets, work closely on semiconductors, even space and lunar exploration. If you are thinking this is huge, you are absolutely right. These are major developments in geopolitics and security cooperation. And I can tell you, no one understands their implications better than China. Because Beijing is the principal reason for this cooperation, also the target. You will agree with me when I say that in the last few years, under the aggressive leadership of Xi Jinping, China has become a threat to those it considers its opponents. It has raised the specter of war over and over again, explicitly and implicitly. It has repeatedly provoked India in Ladakh and Arunachal. It has set a virtual target for the military takeover of Taiwan. China has sent warplanes and the Navy to repeatedly threaten Taiwan, raising the stakes in the skies and the seas. China has threatened America in the Pacific and positioned its nuclear missiles towards the American mainland. Beijing is bullying small countries in the South China Sea, sinking Vietnamese vessels, trying to construct research and military facilities on disputed waters. Chinese policies have become a sheer nuisance as it exploits its manufacturing and commercial muscle to control supply chains. Countries like India, America, Japan, Australia are not sitting by idly. How? Let's take a look at the latest developments in the US-India strategic cooperation. It is called the US-India Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies. These technologies will shape the course of the 21st century. Defense, for example, it is a sector that India and America already cooperate in. The plan is to take it a step forward. Ajit Doval and his counterpart Jake Sullivan have already met the corporate leaders from the defense industry, the likes of Lockheed Martin, Applied Materials Inc. From the Indian side, there are Adani Enterprises. India and the US are working on the critical area of making jet engines together. American firm General Electric has already applied for an export license for jet engine production. It wants to produce jet engines with India. The US has promised to process this application expeditiously. And then there are microchips, semiconductors. These coin-sized chips are at the core of most modern-day machines. I'm talking about cell phones, laptops, even cars. This is a technology that China wants to dominate. Taiwan is the current global leader. But in 2022, one of the Chinese chip makers developed a chip that was very similar to the Taiwanese version. You see where the story is going? China is catching up. And here's the good news. This Chinese chip maker, SMIC or Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corp, relies heavily on foreign equipment. The plan is to close the tap on this Chinese chip maker and the others. The US is reportedly working on a deal to restrict the export of semiconductor-related technology to China. Japan and the Netherlands are likely to follow suit. China's loss is India's gain. Through this partnership, the US will be opening its doors for Indian computer chip specialists in the US semiconductors is a sector India is serious about investing in, and the budget announcement being proof. More on this in just a bit. And then there is cooperation in space. The US-India Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies. This includes provision for cooperation between NASA and India's space program to send joint human flights. And this, by the way, is just one of the many fronts on which the two countries plan to work together when it comes to space. So how do you think China is looking at all of this? It is planning to launch 60 space missions this year. It is hoping to dominate the space race. But now it hears about India and America's joint effort in space, in planetary defense. You see, China was hoping to flex its muscles in the South China Sea, and now it reads about the Indian and the American military looking to build up maritime security, surveillance capabilities. China was hoping to use technology to dominate the world. And now it learns about India and the US cooperating on emerging technologies, developing next generation telecommunication in India, 5G, 6G. And you know what? India-US cooperation has been in the making for a while now. The idea was reportedly tabled during the last Quad meeting in Japan in the month of May. And what's happening now? All the meetings, they are just the first of the many under this scheme. The CEOs of Indian and American defense companies, including from the Indian private sector, will be meeting more frequently now. And government officials will be working more closely. Indian and American academics will be involved in high-grade research. And while the dragon will be breathing hot and cold from the other side of the Himalayas, this is the new roadmap in the strategic map of the world, the route map for the future. And let me tell you that this bodes ill for China. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.